good. Make sure we're on. Yeah, last week was rough because someone actually broke into my house. There we go. I actually think I'm up. And so I was dealing with that, talking to the cops and stuff like that. But nothing was taken that we really can see. Oh, look at that. We're on. Okay, great. Welcome. One person's on. Wonderful. Okay. Welcome to our week of Chaye Sarah, the life of Sarah. It's ironic that the Torah portion that is named the life of Sarah is actually about Sarah's death, which is a little bit ironic, but it starts off with a line about how long Sarah lived, but it's written in a very strange way, and it got me thinking, and this is what I'd like to bring to us today. So the first line is, and this is the life of Sarah. She lived 100 years, and 7 years, and 20 years. And there's lots of interpretations of that, like when she was 100, her skin was as clean as when she was 7. When she was 7, she was as mature as a 20-year-old. And when she was 20, she had the wisdom of a 100-year-old. They like to kind of play with this 100 and 7 and 20. I started thinking of it a little differently when I was read it this year. It kind of jumped out at me. And that is, how would you divide your life? Would it be first 20 years? Would it be 20, 15, 10, 5? Would you do it by where you worked? Would you do it by where you lived? How would you divide up your life into sections? If you were forced to do so, how would you divide it? I was thinking that, I was thinking about there's so many of us that live to 90. I mean, not to be morbid, but most of the funerals that I do are people in their 90s. So, if we have good luck, good fortune, we could live to 90. And in my life, I got married when I was 31. So I actually, when I was thinking about how I would divide up my life, I think I'd divide it into 3 sections of 30. The first 30 years was basically learning what it means to be a human being, learning what it's like and to find my way in the world, where I want to live, what I wanted to do. Oh, hello, Chuck and Lisa. And hello, Valerie. So that whole first part was kind of discovering what it means to be a human being. When I was 29, 30 years old, I started rabbinical school, and the next 30 years, basically since 1990, has been devoted to Judaism and devoted to learning and teaching and experiencing God in a specific way. And in a couple weeks, I have a little birthday, and I begin my last 30, if I'm going by 30, 30, 30. And who knows what this last section of my life will be. I look forward to it. And also, maybe we don't realize it until we're already past it. So any of you who are watching this and you're like 20 years old, maybe you're only in your first section. Maybe for you the first 10 years was something. If your parents were divorced, maybe it was like, before the divorce and then after, and that your life is divided up in different places. But well, that's weird. That's very strange. On mine, it went out. I hope it didn't for you guys. Let me know if it went out, because it looks like it's up. It's very strange. So, I think a lot of the mindfulness that we do, a lot of the meditation we do is reflecting, right? Reflecting on what's happening in your life, what has happened in your life, how you're reacting to it, noticing what is important to you. And so I feel like part of what we could think about, oh, you're here, okay. Part of what we can think about is, what are the different phases of your life, if someone were to describe yours? Or, for yourself, what are the different sections that you could put aside for yourself? Say, this section was when I learned about X, and this is where I worked here and learned about Y. And this is when I lived in this town and I had these friends and my life was X. So that each one of the places you lived or the places you worked or the friends that you were friends with, each one of them influences you in a different way. And so one can kind of divide. I mean, there was one time in the 80s where I would only live places for 2 years. I lived in Hartford for 2 years. Then I was in New York for 2 years, then San Francisco for 2 years, then Hartford for 2 years, then Jerusalem for a year, then LA for a couple of years. And like every 2 years, every year and a half, I would move to a completely different city. And, maybe trying to discover where I wanted to live, what I wanted to do. But that's a whole time period for me. That might only be, I don't know what I described there, 7, 8 years. So, maybe I could say 22, 8, 32. Maybe that's the way I would divide up my however many years I've been alive. Now, I'm not quite as old as Chuck, but, getting there, Chuck. I'll never catch up to you, but I'll end up where you are. I thought you responded to that. But it's an interesting exercise. Is what are the different eras of your life? How would you categorize them? Where would you put yourself in your life in terms of the division of it? Now, one might say for Sarah, that she was 100 years, and then she had Isaac, and so that's. She was pretty old when she had him. She was 100 and maybe 7 years of taking care of him. And then, in those days, maybe the last 20 years was living a different kind of a life for her. Maybe she considered the first 107 years, first 24 years in New Jersey. Right. So that might be a little section for you. Maybe Sarah considered all of the time that those last 20 years as being a mom. It's hard to know what she felt about it, but it does seem like when you say someone was 100 years and 7 years and 20 years, that those numbers, excuse me, would seem to have some kind of significance for her, and it makes you think about, how do we divide our lives and how do we divide the experiences that we've had, and is it okay to, have this experience for this number of years and then totally leave that behind and go off and do something else that is totally separate and has nothing to do with what you did for those other years? Maybe you find that that's a part of your life. Maybe you find it's not, and that yours has been just kind of like one long life without breaks in it, and you've kind of delivered on one through line. But for each of us, that might be a little bit different. I can't help but think of someone like Akiva, who, until he was 40 years old, did not study any Torah, and then became one of the great Torah scholars, right? So that was, and 40 is kind of a major number there. They say that about Moses, too, right? Moses, the first 40 years, he was raised with Pharaoh. For the next 40 years, he was out in the desert as a shepherd. And then for the last 40 years, he took the Israelites out of Egypt. And you could divide his into 3 sections of 40 years, equaling 120, which is how long he lived, according to the Torah. So, maybe as we're thinking about things today and we're getting into our own minds, may want to think about, how would you divide yourself? How would you divide your life? What would be the activities you would highlight? Okay, I think we're ready now. All right. Let's get ourselves into a comfortable and strong position. We just start with, concentrating on our breath as much as we can and not getting upset when our mind takes us away, because it'll do that. And just allowing everything to be just as it is for now. As we move into our last 4 or 5 minutes together, we like to ask for certain feelings based on the priestly benediction. Today, may I feel safe, and may I feel blessed. May I feel safe. May I feel blessed. May I feel blessed really is almost like a call to recognize the blessings that you actually do have in your life. Could be you have many, could be you have few, but there are blessings we can all identify. And to take that and internalize it, may I feel blessed. May I feel safe. Nowadays, it's may I feel safe from the COVID. May I feel safe in my home. May I feel safe as I walk the streets. May I feel safe. May I feel blessed. We're asking to feel these things. We could be them all we want. I know that I'm blessed, but sometimes I don't feel it. I know that I'm safe, but sometimes I don't feel it. May I feel safe. May I feel blessed. May I feel safe. May I feel blessed. If you'd like to invite someone to be in front of you in your mind's eye, you can offer these two feelings to them. May you feel safe. May you feel blessed. May you feel safe. May you feel blessed. May you feel safe, and may you feel blessed. And now just bring it back to yourself. May I feel safe. May I feel safe. May I feel blessed. May I feel blessed. Let's just come back to our breath for one final moment. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you were able to find stillness and peace. May you feel blessed, and may you feel safe, and may you have a beautiful evening. See you tomorrow.